Left turn and a left downwind. Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down, low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, 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 go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final. You're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold. Take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final. Runway 9er clear to land.
Okay, all right. Let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Oh, we had one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger. Let's see. What we got? A tricycle. Tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tricycle, put it down. Tail dragger. Down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here. You cleared land on 9 all the way to the white dot. Go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway, and I might have to just send you around. That'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern, or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers. Go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway. Keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. Do not descend. Do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. You can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. Clear to land on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the pikeman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow out follow on the final. And as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to resequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Canard?
Yeah, Canard.
All right, Canard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Canard got the jet in tight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever, you're on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you. Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that after 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there, go ahead and put it down on the numbers. Put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep it.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, three, two, one.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hello. It's fantastic to be back. It's slightly strange. It was a little bit scarier earlier because we thought we'd lost Dave, but I can see he's here he's probably busy putting up his bookshelves or something. So before we go any further, I would like to say very big thanks to ForeFlight, our sponsors, without whom this would be much more difficult than it actually is, and it's already quite difficult because we have to think about stuff and not fluff our lines and all the rest of it. Anyway, what have we got coming up tonight? We've got Simon Keeling with the weather. We did think that was a recording, but actually he's real. So we got a real Simon Keeling. News, and happily Dave's here because there's loads and loads of news, some of which Dave had researched and none of us had fully researched. So I would have been making that up on the spot. Then we've got an interview. I was going to say I sat down with, but it was on Zoom. Interviewed Sophie Louise O'Sullivan from the Civil Aviation Authority, Fantasy Hangar, where we're looking at iconic British aeroplanes, and that links with the story in the news. So have a think about your iconic British aeroplane and bring it to the comments, please. Clearly, it won't be my iconic British aeroplane, which is absolutely iconic, but you can have a go. Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. Then we got events. We've actually got some events. It's amazing. There's a bit of a cancellation, but we do have some events. John is going to tell us all about the club, and we got QSY. And finally, we will be announcing the competition winners from Flyer Live last week. So there you go, and we're going to go to weather very shortly.
Evening all. Well, blue skies. Look at that. Fantastic, isn't it? Hopefully you've been out as well flying this week. I have finally got myself back to the same position I was in with my training before we went into lockdown, and wow, what a great feeling that is. And actually, if you're planning on going flying this weekend, it looks like you can do that too. This is how things shape up as we go through the course of this weekend, and this is Saturday. And just notice across the south on Saturday, isobars quite close together. That means it's going to be fairly breezy, but apart from that, actually it's decent conditions all the way. High pressure is in control, centered off towards the northeastern parts of Scotland. Base is coming in at around 4,000 feet, tops at about 6,000 feet. And that little chart in the right hand corner there, that is the cloud ceiling forecast. So that's broken cloud or above, and you can see there's nothing showing on there. So actually it's a great flying day. Just watch out for that breeze in the south. Now for Sunday, still pretty breezy across southern areas of the country. You see there those isobars close together again for southern England. I think we've got to be looking at an easterly about 18 to 20 knots, perhaps a little bit gusty. So just be prepared for that. Southern England and Southern Ireland, and also the far south of Wales. But elsewhere, it's light winds all the way, and I think very little cloud around. You see again the cloud ceiling forecast chart there, just showing a little bit across the high ground of Scotland. But otherwise, those white colours mean that the skies basically a pretty darn good. Bases about 5,000 feet, tops again at about 8,000 feet, so decent conditions all the way. Changes on Monday. Looks like we go more showery on Monday and into Tuesday as well, but things improving once again as we get into the latter stages of next week. Now last Saturday we had a great session of Aviation Weather School, so if you join me for that, thank you very much for coming along. Get ready, because if you feel that was good, wait till this Saturday when we do our second session together. And if you'd like to come along to Aviation Weather School, my next course with places available is on the Saturday mornings of the 15th and the 22nd of May between 09:30 and 12:30 hours. So you can do the course in the morning and get yourself flying in the afternoon. You'll learn about planning 5 days ahead for your flying, and also just building your confidence in weather overall. It'd be great to see you there. Go to weatherschool.co.uk for more information. But whatever you're doing, have a fantastic flying weekend. I think we've earned it, don't you?
Oh, so close.
with the mind of little Johnny yo.
He's here, he's gone. He's here, he's gone.
Davey wasn't quite there for the brief. We're getting slicker. I think
this is what happens when we're consigned to just using our own producing skill now. So what you see on the screen viewers is just us.
Yeah, and we're kind of thinking a little bit ahead. So But there you go. Let's go to news. Let's put Dave on the spot. Dave, I think it's time for you to talk to us about some news, don't you?
Yes, well, top of the news is the CAA has issued a consultation document about a consultation it held last November. This is about how to make the UK a better place for aviation in all its forms. They asked people what they thought, and they come up with a list of the things that they want they say that we said we want to happen. So the top of the list is simplified pilot licensing. Second is a simplification and rationalisation, God, that's difficult, of GA airworthiness maintenance regulations. And there can't be anybody who disagrees with that. Both of them are a bit of a mess. And the third bit, the other third big bit, is about GA medical requirements and how to, including a review of the pilot medical declaration process. So those are the three headline bits, but there's a whole bunch of smaller items which they've also decided we say we want to make better. There's also some things that the CAA has got to do to make itself work better as well. But you have to feel for the CAA here, because not only have they put this consultation out, but they've also got to have a consultation about whatever it is they decide to go ahead with. So this is you can get the sense that this is going to be quite a long-winded process, although there is a section called Quick Wins. And quick wins by CAA standards might not be the same as quick wins by the rest of us. But, looks like they're heading in the right direction. They want to simplify and lighten the load. So that all sounds quite good.
Sounds quite good, doesn't it? I mean, I think you're right. There's that document. Then there's the consultation about what they're actually going to do. Then they're going to do it. And there are some quick wins, which cynics amongst out there, clearly not me, would have said quick wins are the stuff that we should have got right first time, but we didn't quite get right, or we couldn't get right for whatever reason. So the national license flying a Part 21 aeroplane, that's now sorted, and a few other bits and pieces. So hopefully there will be some quick wins. And hopefully there's been some learning from some past mistakes. But, let's see what Sophie has to say about a few other bits and pieces. Talking of quick, I'm not sure if this comes under the category of quick wins or not really. The next news story is, I think it has a picture to illustrate it. There you go. Who knows what that is? No, it's not a poo-bound license. It's a vintage tablecloth of some kind that you would normally find in an aviation cafe, I think. Not quite sure what they are.
I believe they called them charts.
Did they?
And when you put your finger on them, they don't scroll around, and you can't put two fingers on it and measure a distance or anything. You have to go and find a protractor or a ruler.
Oh yeah, or a scale, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
I can say from personal experience that a laminated old CAA chart folded in a certain way acts as a very good funnel to put fuel in your aeroplane if you need to. You can't really use it very much afterwards, but you can do that in emergency. Anyway, what's that story all about? That story is all about the CAA prolonging the change to class rating renewal. So it doesn't mean, and a few people have fallen foul of this, a few people have thought, great, the CAA have said, if I need my class rating renewed, it can be extended till April, or now till the end of July, I think, or beginning of July, I can't remember. But that's not it. It's basically, if you haven't managed to fly the hours, there's a whole table of saying, if you've flown this many hours and done this many landings, then you only need to do this, or you need to do a bit more with an instructor or whatever. So all of those kind of, let's call them easing of requirements in order to get to in order to renew by experience has been extended to July. So that, it's not a bad thing they've done there. But as with all of these things, when they do good things like this, sometimes the communication makes it quite hard. And I'm going to renew my plea to the CAA to just, alongside all of your necessary legalese, just put a little bit of a plain English document. Whoever wrote the Skyway Code, I know who wrote the Skyway Code, but get the chap who wrote the Skyway Code to just write a simple explanation of all of the other stuff that you put out, and then we'd all be much, much happier. And we'd all understand.
I noticed in the latest ORS they'd actually put a line in saying this is not, and they put a clarification in, didn't they? Going, this does not extend your validity period. Because I've got to say, really, the last I think there was a very first one that came out during COVID, which made it relatively clear what how long people had extended time. The second revision came out and left a whole bunch of people really confused. And I actually know at least one person who stopped flying because they realised that they'd run out, their license had lapsed. So they gave up flying. So well done, CAA. You're helping people stop flying.
Yeah, just need to make these things simple, understandable, and easy. So, Ed, you're next up, really, with news of Aero Friedrichshafen.
News of Aero Friedrichshafen. If you'd like to go, you're going to have to wait now until 2022 because Europe's biggest GA show, which had moved from April to July, the organisers have decided it's not possible to go ahead because of travel restrictions that still exist across Europe, and obviously concern about additional waves of infection with COVID. But head of Aero, Roland Bosch, said it's with heavy heart we've made the decision to cancel the trade show. We're now planning certain for our exhibitors, visitors, and suppliers, and looking forward to. They've set their show date as 27th to 30th of April in 2022, and they've got a European Rotors trade show happening in Cologne, 16th to the 18th of November. But obviously, big show indoors. It was always going to be a bit in jeopardy, wasn't it? So,
I think I think Aero is up there with the best of all aviation shows. It's really, really well organised. It's a fantastic facility. It's a lovely area. Yeah. It's really vibrant. It's just a fantastic event, and I'm very sad not to be going this year.
Yeah. And it's a springtime show, isn't it? Because that's when the area around Friedrichshafen is coming back to life after the winter. It's a great place to be in April.
Yeah, no, it's an absolutely fantastic event, and I'm now looking forward to going in 2022.
Yes, it was a bit tight up against Oshkosh, wasn't it? So it frees up a bit of time now.
Yeah, it probably seemed like a good idea at the time to somebody, but I suspect it turned out to be otherwise. Johnny, talk to us about drones. We can't have news without drones, surely.
No, another drone story. So the CAA have fired the starting gun on the drone industry as they've authorised the first company to carry out routine beyond visual line of sight operations. Routine meaning they can go and do it whenever they want within a specified geographic area. Now back to that starting gun. We're not sure in which direction it's pointed or if it's got live rounds or blanks, but the company is basically they're what they term themselves as a command and control solution developer. It's called Seize.ai, and they do all sorts of things in the construction industry in terms of looking at buildings and construction sites and that kind of thing. So they've nominated 3 sites at which they can fly BVLOS whenever they want. The idea is that they'll test this whole concept at these sites to prove that their safety systems and their safety management systems are up to scratch before they can extend it elsewhere. But for other drone operators, you've got to keep your aircraft within line of sight and obey the drone code. So this isn't a blanket free for all for everybody. This is just for the company Seize.ai.
It all seems to be a bit mad, doesn't it? It's like one group over here doing this and one group over there doing that. And you think the regulator might have gone, actually, you have to do X and do it in Y and within Z. Maybe they set the rules, but actually it just seems a bit scattergun.
Can't move without a TDA sometimes, or an application for a TDA.
Yes,
let's integrate rather than segregate as soon as we can. Ed, I believe you got a story about an electric beaver.
I don't. Yes, I do have a story about an electric beaver. Yes, that threw me off. So a company called H55, which is a spin-off from the Swiss Solar Impulse electric round the world flight, which you may remember. They're also working on a CS23 certified version of the Bristol, which will be electric powered. They're going to supply battery packs for Harbour Air's electric Beaver seaplane. Harbour Air is already working with Magni-X for the propulsion system, and the three companies are aiming to certify the aircraft with Transport Canada. as the world's first commercial electric aircraft by 2022. So interesting stuff. And certainly H55 seem to have, if you go to their website and look at what they're working on, they've got all sorts of clever battery packaging technology, and the Bristol they're working on is quite a thing. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that works out. I'm guessing when it first flew, that Beaver was probably full of batteries.
Yes.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave,
it's a big aeroplane to take off in, isn't it? A Beaver float plane, so it will need a fair bit of power.
Yes.
I don't know what their typical flights are, whether they're sort of 20-minute sightseeing flights or half-hour sightseeing flights. If they're regular half-hour sightseeing flights, then it's probably better suited than disappearing for 6 hours into the wilderness and looking for a mains charger.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm also pretty confident that they would have thought of that, because they're generally pretty smart people, aren't they? Dave, before you tell us about a potential new airfield, I'm just going to point out that earlier on in the comments, I spotted Nick Orchard, who was talking about this story on the forum. So, Nick, if you're listening and Dave is missing any details or anything, or I'm sure he wouldn't ever get anything wrong, but if he did, just pop something in the comments for us as well. So, Dave, what talks us about a new airfield?
Thanks for putting me on the spot. Yeah, great. Okay, so yes, this is potentially a new airfield at a place called, and I might get the pronunciation wrong, Little Mongham, near Deal in Kent. It sounds idyllic. It's a 750-metre grass runway. They're hoping for hangarage up to 20 light aircraft. They're going to have charging for electric aircraft and for cars as well. They're going to have glamping pods and e-bikes to rent. And they're aiming to have the greenest credentials that can possibly be achieved. There's also going to be a helipad for emergency services, bikes to borrow free for visiting pilots. I guess that's pedal bikes, nothing nice like a big fat motorbike. And of course, it's very convenient being there for cross-channel hopping, if and when that's allowed. And most importantly, there's a good pub within easy walking distance. So this is the plan. It's come up for, it's in with the planners at Dover Council at the moment. And as you might expect, there's already a protest group who have called themselves Chocks Go Away. And they seem to be, the opposition seems to be quite organised, but not particularly well informed at the moment. So I guess there's opportunities there for the people behind the organisation putting the airfield together to go and talk to them and reassure them. It sounds like they're trying to do it really nicely. A lot of the people involved are people who used to be at Maypole Airfield, which of course closed earlier this year. And they've obviously been looking for somewhere to fly. And now they've persuaded the local landowner to go ahead with this project. It sounds great. What can possibly go wrong? What can go wrong is that the planners don't allow it, of course. At the moment, we're not quite sure how we could help them. They're wary of using something like the Flyer Forum, where it first was announced, as a way of gathering support, because apparently that's been used in the past as a tool against airfield development. So at the moment, we're sort of holding back, trying to ascertain the facts. But if Nick, if you're there, you can tell us any more, please do.
Yep. Someone needs to be on comment duty. I'm on production desk duty at the moment. I can't manage the comments as well.
There's a good one from Leah. Leah Fay says, these objectors should really come and sit at a grass airfield at sunset and watch the birds. It will do their souls a world of good. And that's a good point, because airfields are typically, they end up being great havens for wildlife. I know the guys at, I can't remember the name now. Johnny, the World War I airfield that you...
Stowe Maries.
Stowe Maries, yeah, that's full of wildlife, and yeah, so airfields are great for wildlife. And certainly, looking at the Chocks Go Away website, they're really vitriolic, and they're going, oh, it's terrible for it'll eliminate all the wildlife, and it'll be noisy, and it's just. And even saying things like, oh, they're talking about electric airplanes. Those don't exist. You go, well, you kind of need to look around and maybe be a bit more informed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Brimson? This trip at Brimson, at near Newbury.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, that's
No.
a gorgeous little country airfield, isn't it?
Lovely, yeah. So on the back of this, I've got a challenge. We could embrace it as the flyer challenge, or it might be my personal challenge to DFT. So it's like this airfield. I think it's been described it will be the first new, if this happens, it'll be the first new airfield in 30 years. So my challenge to DFT is where there's a good case that's put forward to establish an airfield, whether that's a small farm strip or a small airfield with a hard surface runway, make it as easy as possible for those applying to do so and provide support. You want to make this place the best place of GA, help the facilities develop. Grant, I'm talking to you.
You just need to send it. I think you need to send them a text. That's the way things are done, isn't it?
Well, it's hopefully I'll just go, Ed, it's great. I've got this.
Yeah, he'll probably send you a text, Ed.
Yeah, but I don't think that's too big a request, and I think it's bearing in mind this is your dream to make the UK the best place for GA.
It's aviation in all its forms now.
Well, I know he's steered away a little bit from in the CA report. It's now best place for aviation. So obviously,
hang on a second. Does that mean?
So you have to put little red score through the G bit now because we've rewritten history a little bit to be best place in the world for aviation. But that's fine as long as they remember
that we're part of it. Yeah. If the CA and DFT had seen exactly how long it took me to make that, they wouldn't have gone and changed it willy-nilly and make me go and do it all over again.
They're lucky you've not ranted about it.
That could be coming next week. That took me like 10 minutes to do.
But come on, Diane, it should be easy to establish. It in the right cases where there's a good case for an airfield, help people make it happen.
I quite often, following Leia's comment there, I quite often when I get back from a flight of a summer's day, sort of, once the airplane's been put away, just sit at the bench there in the sunshine and just listen to the world go by, which is pretty much nothing, just the sounds of nature, and it's just so relaxing and beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, we spend hours up there watching. Park the airplane, put it in the hangar, and just sit on a chair.
Yeah.
As Vince Chadwick says in the comments, the sound of skylarks, ever more rare and always remind me of grass airfields. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Absolutely. So we'll find out what help they need and what the help they think is most appropriate, and then we'll do what we can to help. So,
absolutely. But what an amazing bit of effort, it's not going to be easy, but I hope they succeed.
Talking of amazing bits of effort, Ed, I think this is yours, but maybe it's someone else's. I can't remember. We need to talk about colouring in a helmet.
This is Johnny's news.
That's me.
Johnny. Oh, sorry, Ed.
Ed did all the graphical work for this. I've just researched the story, thanks to Dave doing all the hard work writing it. So, if you're an artistic person, then you can submit a design to Design Pod's helmet. If you know Phil O'Dell, he's an all-round good bloke and flies everything. He's a test pilot, and he's going to be flying the Rolls-Royce Accel Racer, which is being built in conjunction with Electroflight. Now, Rolls-Royce and Fly to Help are running this competition. Unfortunately, if you are artistic, unless you're aged 5 to 18, then you can't enter. Hang on. What
are you trying to say, Johnny?
That rules us out, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's probably just as well. I feel that Ian's designers has got a bit too one focus. That
I think that's it's crisp, it's clean, it's appropriate. Yeah. It's just the age bit. I'm gonna find a young person.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go on the street and look for a young person and get them to enter.
Excellent.
Try not to get myself arrested at the same time.
So you've got until the 28th of April if you've got a kid or niece or nephew or grandchild who you think can enter. So if you go to the flyer news section of the website, all the details are in there, who to email and how to submit your entry. So yeah, go for it.
Okay, well, we had invited Sophie O'Sullivan, who is the head of the GAU, General Aviation Unit at the CEA, to come along for a chat at last week's Fly Live. And unfortunately, that didn't happen because of the royal death, as it were. So we recorded an interview yesterday, and we're going to play it for you now, at least shortly. There might be a little technical issue here along the way. Hello, Sophie. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Ian. Great to be here. And apologies, I couldn't be with you last week. Unfortunately, we did have a hold on our comms because of the sad passing of the Duke of Edinburgh. But I'm really glad we get to sit down today. And thank you for having me on Fly Live.
It's a pleasure. It's taken a while, but we're very, very glad to have you here. So let's get straight into it and kick off. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, what you do, kind of your role.
Sure. So I've been at the CAA for 5 years now. I joined the CAA and I started by heading up the corporate strategy function. I looked after strategy, risk and better regulation. And then after about 2 years, I moved across into the safety and airspace regulation group, which we call SARG, and set up the new drone unit, which we call the UAS unit. And that really was a brand new unit for us to house all of the kind of technical policy, the oversight that we were doing for drones. And I've been running that for the last 3 years. And then for the last 5 months, I've also been heading up General Aviation Unit, which has been fantastic because there is, quite a lot of parallels about some of the things we're trying to tackle, things like access to airspace. There's a lot of things that actually I think we are looking at from different angles, such as infrastructure. So it's been very interesting to look at the two together.
You've been in post for about 6 months now, as I understand it, heading up the GA unit. What are your standout plans for the GAU over the next 12 months?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, it's been a very busy 5 months. I think really one of the first priorities and one of the things we've been doing an awful lot on and will continue to in the short term is how we can help the industry with COVID recovery and really trying to enable the safest return to flying that we can. And there's been a huge amount of activity, to be honest, that's gone into that. So throughout the pandemic, we have run 5 key stakeholder workshops specifically on COVID, where we have been talking about, what are we concerned about when it comes to getting back into the air? How can we promulgate, key safety messages to the community? So we've run those 5 workshops. We also have done a number of webinars. I think you came to one of them, the virtual voyage. And I'm pleased to say we got to 2,000 people by doing that. And again, there was a lot of information there about returning to the air safely. And we had, I think, about 100 questions that came in, which we were able to answer. We also put a lot of that content into a special edition of the Clued Up magazine, so a COVID recovery magazine, which we printed and got out to 10,000 pilots. And there was a digital version as well. And we put out exemptions like 1416, 1418, which gave you, a different revalidation criteria that you could use if you were a pilot with a rating that was due to expire. So there's been a lot of activity there. And I think I go through all those examples because actually comms were sharing with me at the beginning of this week that through doing all of that, we apparently have been able to touch 33,000 end users directly, which we're just delighted about because, communication is just such a key part of what we do and how we try and mitigate safety risks. So that's really been kind of priority number 1. And we put a lot of work into that. And then in parallel, what we've also been doing and what we're going to really be focused on over the next 12 months is setting up the new GA change program. And the activity in that program is very much based on what's come out of the consultation that we put out to the community last December, which was looking at what opportunities we have since leaving the EU and leaving EASA. And we've got quite a lot of content that we've put out into our consultation response document that came out on Monday. But briefly, we've got a couple of strategic programs around simplifying, FCL licensing, looking at pilot medical declaration and how it's used. Alongside that, we've got about 15 tactical projects. We've had an awful lot of feedback about being clear on how we communicate, things like the Skyway Code. We're going to create another version of that actually for the airworthiness side because we get a lot of good feedback about that document. So we've got a lot of sort of tactical projects, and the way I would describe those is sort of medium complexity. We'll aim to deliver on those in the next 12 to 18 months. So spinning up that program, pace of delivery and getting those things out is what we'll be focused on. And then I think finally, really, it is business as usual, keeping our oversight running, and going out there and understanding from operators how COVID has impacted them, and reviewing that as a team, and really optimizing how we work as a team. I have a huge team of technical experts, and we need to optimize how we work together, because some of the things we're trying to tackle are quite complex. The more people you have in a room thinking about a problem, the better. So it's really optimizing the team. So I think COVID recovery, GA change program, and then our oversight business as usual, optimizing the team is going to be top of mind for the next 12 months.
After I watched the virtual voyage, I wrote the CAA letter. I don't know if you've seen it or not. But one of the things I wanted to talk about was flight crew licensing. That has to be one of the most complex, most awkward, most hardest to understand areas, and something which presumably no one at the CAA is super proud of, going, this is the world leading as it should be, there's no need to change. So are you going to address flight crew licensing? And the other thing is, my understanding is, and I may be wrong, that those of us who used to have a CAA national PPL were asked a while ago to change that for an EASA PPL at £77 cost, I think. And now we'll probably be asked over the next 2 years to pay another £77 to change it back to another CAA PPL, which we had a little while ago.
I think you raise a number of good points there, and I mean, broadly, what I would say, and we're in agreement here, is that the whole GA licensing landscape is far too complex, and we feel that at the CAA. And actually, what was really interesting and quite heartening to see is how aligned we are with the community on that, because the number one thing that they told us from the recent consultation is simplify and rationalize FCO licensing. So that is our number one strategic program. It's the first thing that we're going to start doing to look at how we do that. So on a complexity standpoint, we are in agreement there. And I think what I would say to the community is it is complex, because we have got the two regimes that run, in parallel, that run together, of what used to be EASA licenses and national licenses. And we need to look at, is it the right thing to continue to have those two? And how do we make it less complex, more accessible, a better user experience when you come to the CAA and you get a license? And for many people, that's their first interaction with the CAA. So we do want that to be positive. So it's very much something we will be focused on.
Another area that's not particularly an easy area to deal with, but one that I think is very important, is CAP 1404, which is really effectively the way the CA deals with airspace infringements. Now, we all know none of us like airspace infringements. None of us think they're good. But I would put it to you that the way that CAP 1404 has been applied over the last couple of years has not done the CA any favours with regards to the relationship between the regulated and regulator.
Yeah, and I'm also glad you're raising this, Ian, because it's just one of the number one topics that, to be honest, when I talk to any GA stakeholder, they raise this, infringements and their concern. And look, we know we need to do better at the CAA. This is clearly an area we need to improve. And there's a number of things I think we need to do to try and do that. I think the first thing is we need to show the community that we're listening, that we hear the feedback, and that we are actually using that to change what we do publish. So the way we're doing that at the moment is we've done a complete end-to-end review of CAP 1404, which is the main document that contains the infringement process. We will be sharing that with the community shortly in the next couple of weeks. And also alongside that, there will be a narrative document that just explains the process, what we do and why we do it, and also a Mythbuster Q&A, which looks at some of the misconceptions around the process and hopefully tries to make that clearer. So I think really showing that we hear that feedback and we integrate that into continual improvements. It can't be that we just relaunch it this one time. We have to do that continually. I hope will go some way to help. I think secondly, we need to be more transparent. And one of the things you will see in the 1404 rework is we're going to include a workflow of exactly what we do end to end and which parts of the CAA are actually making decisions. So we can be really transparent about exactly what happens and who is making decisions, which I think we need to do. And finally, we really need to work on the how we communicate, because, you said it yourself, no one thinks infringements are a good thing. We know there's a safety risk. We do need to communicate clearly when one has occurred, but how do we do that, but also soften some of the language and think about how we get the message across clearly, but do it in a firm but sort of kind way, in the best way we can. So I think looking at the how, being transparent and continually updating our documents is really what we need to do. And then also, I would ask for your help in getting some of the numbers out there, because when you do look at this and the average number of infringements per year, it is less than 0.5% that end up in a prosecution, and less than 4% that end up with a license on hold. So the actual numbers out there are quite small, and I think it's helpful for us to share that, but then of course sharing that alongside the clear message that we know we need to do better, and the things I've outlined I hope to improve things.
It seems to me that the infringement issue is something that will only really be solved by the pilot population working with the CAA, working with the air navigation service providers, and actually addressing it all as a team. And I think for that to happen, everyone needs to firmly believe that they are working towards the same goal in a just and open way. And just culture needs to be applied properly. And I think that's probably fallen down a bit in the past.
I don't disagree with you. I think we need to do exactly that.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to a positive engagement on resolving the infringement problem to everyone's satisfaction.
That's the aim.
In a fair and just culture manner would be amazing. Another interaction that pilots tend to have with the authority is around medicals. We had a bit of a let's call it a hiccup a little while ago when there was some changes to the PMD, which I think this week have been rechanged or reclarified back to normal. And I also believe there are some, well, I don't believe, there are some teething problems with the introduction of SELMA, both from a pilot point of view and from an AME point of view. Are we going to get that resolved fairly soon, do you think?
Yes, and again, I'm also glad that you brought this up. So, I mean, there's two separate things going on here, and there's a couple of things I think it's worth being clear with the community on. We do know that the PMD issue recently wasn't communicated in the best way, and for any confusion, we really do apologise. What we were really looking to do was to regularise a decision that was made back in 2016. So it wasn't about reversing or changing a decision. It was the fact that we had a sub-2-ton criteria that could be used against pilot medical declaration that really we'd only enable through our website and through our CEA form. So it was just about regularising that decision and ensuring that it was being used in the right way. So hopefully the exemptions that went out, I believe it was yesterday, have made that clear to the community. And then in terms of SELMA, there have been some teething problems, and really I just would like to apologise on behalf of the CAA. It hasn't been quite the launch that we were hoping it would be, but what we are doing is we put a number of workarounds in place, and the team are working flat out to get the issues that we do have to resolution. And I'm very happy to get you a more detailed brief, from our comms department on what they are doing.
I'd much prefer to hear from pilots and AMEs that everything's fixed and going smoothly,
okay.
Which I think you probably would as well.
Yes, I would.
Somehow. Finally, one of the questions is an area that's concerning an awful lot of people at the moment, and that's drones. And as you establish the drone unit, you're probably in a great position to answer these questions. How are we going to move towards integration rather than segregation? How are we going to do it quickly? It seems to me Class G airspace is well understood, and if the drones want to operate in Class G airspace, then just abide by Class G rules. And does anyone at the CAA understand that the T in TDA stands for temporary?
Yes, I'm glad you've raised this. Look, the long-term plan here is integration, and you've put that well. And temporary danger areas are a temporary means really of segregation, and they are not an ideal long-term solution for anyone really, whether you look at the RPAS community or you look at the GA community, because they are temporary and they're a method of segregation. There's some improvements that we can make in how they're currently used, and very recently we did run a cross-community discussion where the GA Alliance actually came in and spoke to our key RPAS stakeholders just to talk through how they could maybe run the targeted engagements in a slightly more transparent way, and some of the short-term improvements we could make. So we are addressing the sort of shorter-term improvements, and then what we need to do in the longer term is work on the roadmap towards integration. So whether we move from potentially temporary danger areas to something like the use of TMZs, transponder mandated zones, and then test some of the technology that will eventually enable us to move towards integration. And for us, that's the pathway that we need to follow to enable commercial, routine, beyond visual line of sight RPAS operations, but in a way that allows people good access to airspace, isn't disruptive for all, and that's really what we're working on. And we are working closely with government on aspects like the Future Flight Challenge. You may have heard of that, which is all about testing the technology to work out how we can do that.
When do you think that the pilot population watching this we'll be able to see some tangible results of the work, be it the post-Brexit survey, or when are we going to see some results? Because the survey's great and the consultation's great, but we need action, and we need change, and we need clarity, and we need simplicity.
Yeah, so I think what I would say is that's why we have deliberately in the consultation response document really categorised what we're doing, because what we want to do is set expectations around timelines and what we can deliver. So what you'll see in the consultation response document is a number of quick wins, one of which is the ability for NPPR holders to use Part 21 aeroplanes, which we've already executed on. The Sarah D issue is something we've also executed on. So you will see the quick wins that we are aiming to get out very quickly. You will see changing ways of working. We've categorised them where we're aiming to change things we do at CAA to make them more efficient. Then you will see tactical projects, which we aim to deliver on the next 12 to 18 months, and strategic ones, which will take a bit longer. So our aim in categorising that way is to be really clear about expectation around delivery and what we think the complexity is. And we will use our website, and we will use the GA advisory partnership that we have to give continual updates about where we get to with our delivery programme.
It's taken quite a while to organise this chat and the interview. So maybe we could begin now and set one out and say, yeah, maybe in 6 months' time we can have a kind of mid-term report about how things are going.
Absolutely.
And chat to you again.
Yeah, very happy to do that. And we work very closely with Alex and comms, both of us, and we do a press release every quarter on what we're delivering, and I think that's coming out in the next week. So of course, very happy to do that. It's been good to talk to you today.
You too. Thank you very much for joining us.
Interesting.
Well, there you go.
So before we go on, one interesting question that popped up. Dan Smith said, Ian, were the questions you asked, were they sent in before the interview, or was it off the cuff?
It was a mixture. There was it was a mixture. I mean, it wouldn't be right to expect a non-aviation head of the GAU to be absolutely on top of every single detail of every single thing. So some of those things enabled her to go and do some research and find out some answers, and some of it was off the cuff. I have to say, one of the comments I spotted, which I thought was made me laugh early on, which was the I wrote it down here, CA hostage video backdrop.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I wonder whether the machines were. It's like it just hides all the computer control behind her.
I think it's everyone, not everyone. A lot of people are working from home at the moment, and a lot of people don't want their home on TV, unsurprisingly. So the whole Zoom backdrop's a good thing.
Yeah, I quite like Paul Sengupta's comment. He said, "Could we reintroduce the red tape challenge on the forum with CIA involvement? That would be a good way of increasing consultation."
I mean, I think it would be a great idea. I'll have a word. I think it was introduced by. Originally, it was done. Andrew Haynes was kind of keen on it, and asked Jonathan Nicholson to put it up. So let's see what they have to say. Really, I mean, clearly, you can sit down, you can talk to someone, whether it's Sophie or the head. It could be the chairman of the CA, could be the CEO, could be the minister for the Secretary of State. It could be anyone, and no one's going to go, "Well, we don't care." And everyone is going to talk about genuine good intentions. I hope genuine good intentions. But the proof of the pudding's in the eating, isn't it, really? We need to see what gets delivered, how quickly it gets delivered, and how complicated or otherwise it gets delivered. I think Selma's a great example. Clearly, I don't know the detail of the procurement process, but it was 3.5 years ago, I think. There are existing online medical systems that work in all sorts of parts of the world, South Africa, New Zealand, Europe, that we could take, that would work, that many people are familiar with already, but we tend not to. And there is many regulators, not just the CAA, have a desire to reinvent the wheel quite often, and that's not always necessary. So I'm hoping that with the change, we take best practice from elsewhere.
Yeah. Do you think the infringement action will change with the CAP 1404 review?
Hopefully it will. I really genuinely don't think the CA has realised quite how badly the application of that process has damaged the relationship between pilots and the CAA. I think we are in a worse position now than we have been for a long time. I regularly hear people who say they fly without a transponder, which is nuts. And if you're one of those people who flies without a transponder, don't be dumb. Turn your transponder on. But I think there's a huge amount of work to do there, and it's great that Cap 1404 is being reissued and has changed, and it's great that people are talking about just culture. But we need to see the detail. We need to see the application of it. It's not that the previous 1404 had anything specifically in it that was strange, but it was a very opaque process, and I know many people individually who suffered from it, and it was not a proud moment.
The real problem with airspace infringements is not necessarily Cat 1404. It's the fact that the airspace is such a hodgepodge of bad design. It's full of traps, and if you look, when the Air Safety Institute does its reviews on infringements, half the time people are being caught by little bits of traps. There's suddenly the airspace goes down 500 feet for a small triangle of air, which is just very hard to plan around. And you only need to lose your concentration for a couple of minutes, and suddenly you're in it. So I think personally, I think the airspace needs to be sorted out, and the infringement process will sort itself out following that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any one single answer that's going to solve the infringement problem. There's lots of different solutions. There's no one silver bullet, and I think that's why I said I think everyone needs to work together, but there needs to be trust for everyone to work together, and I don't think there is any at the moment. That probably works two ways, to be honest. But
have they acknowledged your letter in the latest issue of Flyer yet?
No one from the CA has even mentioned the letter. Even when I mention the letter, it's the letter that shouldn't be spoken about.
No, but I've got to say that if you haven't read Ian's column, it's this month in the latest issue of the mag. It's really worth reading, and it's generated a huge amount of very supportive emails coming into the office. So everyone sees this as things that need to change. Hopefully they'll read it, and Sophie will respond. Hopefully.
I mean, the biggest thing when you're, I think a certain degree of self-awareness on behalf of the CA for what's happening in general aviation and the general aviation community is necessary in order to move forward. So no one expects regulators are regulators. They're not going to be people that we adore and the sort of fluffy things that they do.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Probably time to move on, isn't it? Time's ticking away.
I think it is. It is time to move on. Absolutely. It must be time for Fantasy Hangar.
It certainly is.
We don't have any Fantasy Hangar graphics like we had last week. I'll have to work
used
on
to them.
this week.
Yeah. Well, who's first? Oh no, I need to tell you what it's all about.
Yes.
So, in light of Dave's earlier story about the CAA's Better After Brexit consultation, we thought we'd pick an aeroplane that was iconically British. So who's first?
I think it's me.
Johnny. What is your iconically British aeroplane?
I've gone real simple and picked the Tiger Moth. Because it's nice and simple. It's a great design. It sounds classic when it's flying overhead. It looks fun. And it's the kind of airplane I think that they describe as being easy to fly but difficult to fly well. And as we've seen, if a truck mechanic from Grimsby can fly it well, then I'm sure I can have a pretty good go as well. So I have actually booked my own my first hour in one, hopefully next month, down at what's it called, Henstridge. So I'm looking forward to getting sat in and doing some aeros and some circuits in it. That's my iconic.
And seeing as you said, if a lorry mechanic can do all right, then I should be able to do fine. I think, I'm sure you won't regret saying that, but I think we should come and video this and put some cameras on the airplane and see what. Make a little. Johnny does the Tiger Moth. Should be an interesting little video.
Yeah, famous last words.
Yeah, as long as it's not the other way around. Tiger Moth does Johnny.
For those that don't know, that was a reference to Guy Martin.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the awesome telly program that's on Channel 4, it's 8 o'clock on Sundays.
Yeah, more of that later, I think.
Yeah.
9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, I think, isn't it?
9 o'clock. Who's next?
Me.
Ian.
So, yeah, I kind of wondered. First of all, I thought Hawker Hart, because I got a bit of a little affectionate corner for the Hawker Hart, and then I thought a bunch of other airplanes and the Geminis and stuff like that are great. But actually, you know what? You know what is iconic for me about the UK aircraft design and current manufacturers?
No.
I mean, look at that.
I mean,
my eyes.
Someone who came into work one day and someone said, "Bert, the Islander, it's not noisy enough. Make it noisier." And you go, "Stick an engine on the tail. Why don't you?" I mean, can you just brilliant. And I mean, I can't imagine what it would be like being a pilot of a Trilander, because imagine trying to do 3 hot starts.
Embarrassing.
3 hot starts. That's got to be. No, Trilander. There you go. That's iconic, and look at that. Just look. That's brilliant, isn't it?
No.
Sort of shaped like a stapler, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean,
It's probably got more styling than the Islander. Trilander.
That'd be such a talking point in the hangar, wouldn't it?
Yes. Kevin Chilton says, design taken straight off the Bendy bus.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Smith says, look, we've added an interesting fact. Has Ford Anglia door locks? I did not know that.
No.
Well, and I can't. So they're probably not very secure in that case.
Yeah. Nick Allen sums it up, though. Who put wings on that shipping container?
Oh, you guys are all so cruel. Look at it. I mean,
yes. Anything at this point, anything could be a better choice than Ian's Trilander. Dave.
Well, my choice is much better than the Trilander. It is, of course, the iconic de Havilland Mosquito, and it's just, for me, this sums up World War II. It's development at a huge, fast pace to meet certain needs. And here we have a twin-engine aircraft, a multi-role combat aircraft with 2 blimping great Merlin engines producing 1,700 horsepower each. It's got a maximum speed of 415 miles an hour. That's at 28,000 feet. And during the war, it was used for all sorts of special missions, as well as all sorts of missions, including a couple of what you might call these days black ops. It's a famous Operation Jericho, where it took out a prison in northern France. And a little known thing I found out, apparently when the Nazis were having the 10th anniversary of the coming to power, a mosquito attack knocked out the Berlin broadcasting station where Hermann Goering was speaking, taking his speech off the air. Well done, chaps.
I think the good thing about the mosquito, Dave, is that environmental campaigners like Greta Thunberg could get behind it because it's made out of wood.
Yeah. Yes. Never mind those engines. Just think about the wood, wooden construction, sustainable,
environmentally sound.
Sustainable aviation. That's what it is.
Yes.
It looks from the comments that you're quite ahead, Dave, I think.
Oh, I think so. Yes.
And also, it was great to hear you say during the war.
Dave, what was it like during the war?
I was being thought about. I wasn't necessarily there.
Fair enough. But it has only got 2 engines, whereas that's got 3.
Yes,
yeah,
but
that's got 3 too many.
I bet the mosquito makes a better noise than the Trilander.
I think so.
Yeah.
I'll give you that one. Yeah. So
that just leaves my choice, and I thought what's iconically British for me. So I've always had a soft spot for this. So I went for the Hawker Hurricane, and I'm sure lots of people would probably think, oh, Spitfire, and yes, that's lovely and very iconic. But I've always loved the Hurricane, and it seemed like when I see it, it looks like my kind of warbird. It's a bit more friendly to fly. Merlin engine, nice wide track undercarriage. I reckon I'd be happy with learning the ways of the Hurricane. It would probably not try and kill me too often. So, and I'd look a lot less embarrassed than Ian in his Trilander.
I'm going to wear my Trilander with pride. I'm going to land it with pride.
No, that's a good choice. And I did see that Mike Collett soloed the Hurricane today down at White Waltham. Mike Collett from Ultimate Aerobatics, or
yes, Ultimate Aerobatic. I didn't know he was going to. Is that?
No, he has. Saw it on Twitter.
Fantastic. That's where it all happens.
Congratulations, Mr. Collett. Yeah. Okay. So what's next then? Apart from, we need to move on from this because I clearly didn't have the winning choice.
Kevin Chilton says Ed and Dave, it's a draw.
Yeah,
Really?
no, we don't need to know any more about that. Let's move on. What's next? Come on.
So some events, I think.
Sorry?
I was
Events.
Yeah,
talk to us about events, Dave.
Well, I was told this week about a fascinating little fly-in at a Scottish island in the Orkneys called Lamb Holm. I'd never heard of it before. And apparently it's the site of what's called the Italian Chapel. And as if you look on the Flyer website and the events, there's a picture of this Italian chapel. It was built by some Italian prisoners of war. And it's just a very nice fly-in. You do have to cross quite a bit of water to get to the Orkneys, but it sounds very nice. It's on, let's just check the date again, the 26th and 27th of June. So midsummer, be nice there, be lovely up there. Other events, Duxford. Duxford has announced a series of flying days, which aren't fly-in days, they're just flying days. There's a whole host of them right through the summer. You will be able to fly into some of them once things have opened up, but at the moment you can go there to watch. You know something about the Armchair Air Show, don't you, Ian?
Nope.
You don't know anything about the Armchair Air Show.
The Armchair Air Show is on May the 29th, I believe. It's put on by Airability. Mike Smith driving that. A complete force of nature. So go and look at Armchair Air Show and support it in any way you possibly can, because it'll be a fantastic event for a fantastic charity. So there you go. I'll find out more about it between now and next week. We might even ask Mike to say something.
Okay. Well, I think it's over to you, Johnny, and then the club.
Yeah, so thank you to all the new members who joined last week. There were loads of you, so it's great to have you on board. And also thanks to club members, viewers, and mag readers for sending in photos for the Out and About section of the latest magazine. It's always great to see where you've been going, what you've been flying, and what you've been up to. We've got more webinars on the horizon and other exclusive chats with interesting guests, so we'll bring you more news of that as soon as we can. And as usual, if you're not a member, you can join currently for just £7.50 a month and make use of all the great benefits like the landing vouchers, the retail discounts, and all the other exclusive content. So just visit fly.co.uk and hit the club tab at the top of the screen and you can join.
£7.50 a quarter, Johnny.
Did I do it again?
You've done it again.
Yeah. If anyone wants to pay £7.50 a month, that's entirely appropriate, but you can get it for £7.50 a quarter.
You can have it. Just call in and ask for the special Johnny rate.
Okay, so which brings us on to briefly QSY, I think. So let's have a look. This was a bit of a strange story. I popped up on Facebook. Safety alerts, City Airport, Manchester. Someone suggesting that a Fairchild had some fuel stolen from the hangar. It's a pretty rare occurrence. At least I hope it is, fuel being stolen. Any thoughts on that?
Normally it's like if someone was going to do that, it would just be a fuel cap, not a fuel sender. So very odd.
Yeah, absolutely. Johnny, did you have something on the US Air Force?
We did. We've not managed to get the approvals to use the pictures or anything, but they very kindly landed one of their big CV-22 Ospreys at a hospital in the east of the country. And when they took off, they blew away the entire landing mat that the air ambulances use. Now, people say, well, it's a helicopter, it can land on anything, but the mat is there for pushing stretchers and all sorts of things to and from the helicopters. So it's created a bit of havoc. So, but unfortunately, we've not managed to get the video to show you.
Oh dear. Well, let's see if we can still try, and maybe we can show that next week. What was the airplane that ripped up the runway at Hapley Green?
That was a vampire.
Vampire.
Yeah. And I've just thought of something that we didn't think to include, but we should have done. And it's the fact that a flight took place on another planet on Tuesday morning. I think it was, wasn't it? Tuesday morning?
Alderney?
No, not Alderney. NASA successfully flew their Ingenuity helicopter on Mars.
Yes. They did. Well done, NASA.
Well,
yeah. If you haven't seen the little bit of video taken from the rover of the thing spinning up, making a cloud of dust and lifting up and hovering, quite brilliant. And I'm sure there's no members of NASA watching, but well done. That was a proper brilliant achievement.
Absolutely. There's also been some pretty stonking TV on recently. So if you remember a little while ago, we had Mark Greenfield on as a special guest and Ultimate High hat on in honor of Mark doing my instructor hour earlier on this week. So I'm good for another couple of years. Thank you very much, Mark. I learned a lot. And here is Mark teaching Guy Martin how to shoot down an extra 300s or something.
I think Guy missed the opportunity there to say, because I was inverted.
Yeah, so that's a two-part series. It follows Guy Martin. If you haven't seen it already, it follows Guy Martin in his quest to become a World War II Battle of Britain hurricane pilot, funnily enough. So starts off with Anna Walker in a Tiger Moth, flies to Harvard, etc., etc. Great series, and it's on All 4 Catch Up, or whatever that's called for Channel 4. So just go and find it from wherever you find it and have a good watch. And I think it's on the same time as what's that police thing that's on Sunday that everyone talks about?
Line of Duty.
There you go. I think it's on at the same time as that, which is a punchy thing to do. It's time. Sorry.
Much more exciting.
Much more exciting. Yeah. So last week, if you were at any of the Flyer Live things, and they were on all week, 2 hours a night, mammoth task. It was great. We had competitions. We had a competition from Poolies where you could win a Bose A20, a Garmin D2 Air, or a £250 worth of vouchers to spend in Poolies. And then we had a Garmin supported competition where you could win one of 2 Aera 660s and a D2 Air watch. So we now have the winners. So how do you want to do this? We should have thought about this first, shouldn't we? Johnny, why don't you do the Poolies winners and I'll do the Garmin winners?
Yeah, okay. So Poolies is a great competition. The winner of the Bose A20 with Bluetooth is Mr. Rob Payne. So well done, Rob. That's a good win you've got there. The Garmin D2 Air watch, that's gone to a Mr. A. Habib. So congratulations to you.
Yeah. Hang on a second before the next one. Just read it. It's got Poolies voucher.
We've got a £250 Poolies voucher and
drum roll.
Mr. Darren Lewington. Congratulations.
How strange is that? And I was speaking to Sebastian Pooley, who couldn't make it because he was washing his hair tonight. But he has said that Poolies will be in touch with all of the prize winners shortly, and we'll sort out dispatching all of the prizes. So well done, those people. Top marks.
What about the Garmin winners?
Should we have the Garmin winners?
Yes.
So there are 3 Garmin winners. The winner of the first Aera 660 is Ian Davies. The winner of the second Aera 660 is Robert Cannock. And the winner of the D2 Air watch is David Rees. So congratulations to those people. We will be in touch with you and we'll get your details and you'll be getting goodies through the post soon. So thank you very much, everyone who took part in that competition.
And I've just spotted a really good comment about Flyer Live from Steve McGee. He said, I enjoyed Flyer Live so much last week. I had my first flight in 20 years last Sunday and my second today. Hooray for the Poo Brown license. Well done, Steve. That's exactly why we did the kind of reasons we did Flyer Live. That's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, that's worth a whole week just there. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so I think we're running over 4 minutes. It's not a 2-hour show tonight, thank God. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Ed, Dave, and Johnny, for being your usual brilliant self. Loving the bookcase, Dave. And we will see you all next Thursday at 7:30. If you are watching this on YouTube, do us a favor and subscribe and give us a little, whatever it is you do on YouTube, hit the bell or something and leave a comment. That's it. Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.
Yes, enjoy the weather. Fly safe, everyone.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye.
My mouse cursor's gone. Hang on a second.